topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hello and welcome to It's Your Voice, the show that hosts enriching conversations in diversity. My name is Bahia Yaxan. I am a core alignment coach and an educational trainer in diversity. I train in organizations and individuals in identifying patterns that are no longer serving them and cultivating patterns that they want to do better in and make their new normal. If you're interested in checking out some of the trainings I offer, you can go to my website, which is knowwhatyouwantcoaching.wordpress.com. I am so grateful to have this platform to talk with a range of people on a range of topics. And this one today is extremely important and relevant, not only in California, not only in the country, but all over the world. But we're particularly talking about a community that is homeless in Davis, and work with someone who's been in the field for over 10 years. Silas Kirsch, welcome. Please join me. And I'm going to read a little bit of your background, if you don't mind. And then, of course,
Sure.
you supplement it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on.
Oh, I'm just really grateful. This matters so much. And so I see you grew up in Davis, and you've been involved with serving the homeless community for over 10 years. You're currently the supportive services coordinator for the permanent supportive housing program at Paul's Place, which is owned and operated by Davis Community Meals and Housing, which has been serving the community since 1990. I didn't realize that. And wow, Paul's Place now has 160 beds of permanent supportive housing in Davis, and you see over 160 people daily in your daytime resource center. That's a massive accomplishment that of many people over many years.
Yes, it really is astounding. I appreciate the introduction. And yes, so I've been involved in working in homelessness since I was growing up here. I started in high school with the Interfaith Rotating Winter Shelter, which is now Heart of Davis, which does a lot of supplementary service and continues to serve the community in Davis. And through working for the IRWS, I've got an initial experience and was able to get acquainted with the community in Davis and a little bit about the nature of service. And I've been working for Davis Community Meals and Housing now for getting close to 3 years. I started initially doing overnight staffing for the emergency housing back when it was on 5th and D Street. We now have a flex bed shelter at Paul's Place on H Street. And so I did that for a little while. I was checking people in, serving meals, making sure everybody had decent bedding. And for the last, over 2 years, I've been working at Paul's Place and getting to know the full breadth of the services that are offered through Davis Community Meals and Housing. And we have over 160 people coming through our doors every day. For the daytime shelter, we have a transitional housing program. We have permanent housing. We have 3 locations of permanent housing with a total of over 160 beds in those 3 locations. So, it's been there's been a lot of learning in that period, and it's just such a critical place and service for the community, and I'm very, very happy to be a part of that.
Well, it's interesting. So it's the 160 beds are in 3 different locations, but is a day program. I don't know if that's the right phrase.
Yeah. So we have Paul's Place at 1111 H Street is the central location of the services of Davis Community Meals and Housing. So in addition to Paul's Place, we have Creekside and Cesar Chavez, which are both dedicated permanent supportive housing sites. Paul's Place is unique. It's not only unique in our organization. I have yet to hear of any other building that will have 3 different sorts of homeless services in one building. On the first floor, on the first floor, we have our daytime resource center, is what we call it. That is open from 8 to 2 Monday through Friday, and that is the program that has 160 plus visitors daily. And so people can come in, they have basic needs provided for them: food, water, showers, laundry, case management, bus passes, things of that nature. And that is open to the public. We primarily serve Yolo County residents, but that's open to drop in. People just do an intake and they can use the resources freely. And then on the second floor, we have a 10-bed transitional housing program. So this is a clean and sober program, and people are able to stay here for up to 2 years, and they pay no rent. They just have to participate in case management and remain clean and sober. And for this on this floor, we have 10 individual bedrooms with shared living facilities. So people are really close and in it together. And then we have permanent supportive housing, 18 studio apartments of permanent supportive housing on the 3rd and 4th floor. And at night, we have a flex bed shelter on the 1st floor. So we have 8 beds for people to stay in on a night-to-night basis. So those are the 4 programs at Paul's Place. And those are, that's what we do here on this site.
Wow, that is so impressive. That's an incredible array of resources and assistance.
It really is, yeah.
Wow, that's just fantastic news.
And it is largely, enabled by the experience of the staff. I'm the newest person in the building. Becky and Harmony are the 2 primary case managers. Becky Marigo and Harmony Scapazi. They've been working here for 23 and 17 years each. And wow. So they are super familiar with the folks that use our services, and just have this extraordinary, personal knowledge and are just extraordinary case managers from being here for, such an extended period of time. And then, in addition to them, our director, Tracy Favre, has been involved with the organization for quite a long time, since 2008, if I'm not mistaken. In addition to that, we have a lot of folks who are peer support workers. So, formerly having had experience with substance abuse disorder, and they are a lot of the times from Davis or from Yolo County, and they will, they also make up the other parts of our staff, and just having them there, it's also an extraordinary experience and wealth of knowledge that they can draw on to provide the services and operate all these many programs so effectively.
Wow. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. What a team, and clearly so dedicated.
Without a doubt. Yeah. They're extremely dedicated. And, I mean, there's a lot that our staff will do for our clients, and that we do for our clients. And at the same time, there's also just that the knowledge and the history that the staff here has. There are also really strong boundaries that are upheld to make sure that the space is ensured to be safe for everyone. And so, just that the balance of being extremely dedicated to the people we're serving, and also very cognizant of what is appropriate and what is not, and how we can maintain safety and best practices. This is that's where the experience is really, really vital, and enables the success of all these many programs to coexist, not only at the same time but in the same place. So
I just want to say wow again. I might sound like a broken record, but that I'm so glad you also mentioned the boundaries, like based on the experience of people who've been there for so long, have been dedicated to this purpose, and have experienced, I'm sure, all kinds of situations, clearly have learned the importance of balancing, providing access to resources, and yet needing like really clear, firm boundaries that are enforced if needed.
Absolutely.
That just makes everybody feel safer just even hearing about it.
Yeah. I mean, I really do think that if you talk to Becky or Harmony or any of the other staff that are really central in creating the kind of culture of the staff, boundaries is always the word that gets returned to. We really trust, as a team, we trust that one another are doing all that we can for our clients. And so when somebody says this is, maybe not appropriate, or this is too far, like, everybody is backs them. And it's just very important to create a safe space for our clients and our staff also. So the boundaries are really vital to the continued success, and the fact that we have, our programs have not only been growing in numbers, but we are adding new types of programs that we're able to operate over the years, and that is a vital dimension in each of them.
Fantastic. I have so many other questions, but and different topics I want to make sure we get to, but
Sure.
It's just coming to me now as you talked about how you back each other up in this like really critical, very demanding, probably trauma-inducing work environment, because of the trauma that people who come for access to resources may be experiencing, maybe not always, but probably often. It reminds me when I used to work in a domestic violence shelter for a long time, like 7.5 years. And one thing that we could carry if we weren't careful, if we didn't get good like support and good supervision, and maybe even some clinical supervision, we could walk around with secondary PTSD, and it would start coming out indirectly on other staff, or do you guys, is that part of, I think, do you guys make sure you each get like time to debrief and time to get support when needed?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that we care quite a lot for each other here, especially There are 5 full-time staff working at Paul's Place and several other part-time folks, and most of the days we all eat lunch together, and there's a lot of time that is spent together talking about things that are happening as they're happening and debriefing as much as needed. And so, I really, really want to commend Tracy, Becky, and Harmony for establishing that as as part of our practice and supporting, giving us all the space to take to continue doing this work, doing what we do doing what we have to do to continue doing this work, and just generally, I think that we're a close bunch, and we're very much invested in each other's well-being, and we are all supported in doing what we have to do to take care of ourselves and one another. Yeah.
It's great to know.
Yes. Yes.
I keep adding new questions before I get to the original list of, I know we've had Sandy Holman on several times. She's just she's a great supporter. She's had sponsored episodes. Mm-hmm. She's just a brilliant consultant, leader, teacher. But recently this summer in July, she was our guest for 2 episodes, basically talking about compassionate care. And one thing we had several people call in, because one thing she mentioned that people can do for people were calling from I think other states, because she was talking about, she hands out a resource list to people who are on the street, hot, thirsty, look they may have somewhere to go, but they look as though they don't have a place to go. They might be thirsty. Anyway, is there a resource list that people could pick up to
yes,
be able
we have them, and I am not sure. We might have them on our website. I will have to follow up on that. We have cards with our services explaining what all of our services are that we distribute, and I think that we have them to distribute for people to then pass out as they see fit. The city also has one on their, if you go onto the City of Davis, that they have a homelessness resource page, and so I will, and then people can go onto our website and find that information too. And I think that the wallet size card that can then be passed out is on there.
So if people can print it, because a lot of people would like to just be able to hand something to someone.
Otherwise, you can come to Paul's to the resource center from 8 to 2. You can call in and see if we have any available. The phone number's on the website. The phone number is 530-753-9204. You can call in and see if there are those resource cards available, and you can come and pick them up and hand them out as you see fit.
That's a great tool. So I'm going to repeat that phone number, 530-753-9204. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct.
It's okay to give the address again, because I'm thinking.
1111 H Street in Davis. 1111 H Street.
H as in horse. Okay, that's good, because sometimes it's, if I can tell someone go to this address between 8 and 2.
Yeah.
That's such a relief.
Monday through Friday. Yeah.
Monday through Friday. And if it's a weekend?
If it's a weekend, that's a good question. If it's a weekend, I think the city might have services at the Respite Center on L Street. I'm not certain what the services they offer on the weekend. We are closed, unfortunately.
Okay, that's good to know. There's a Respite Center on L Street. That the city probably is on the City of Davis website. Okay, that's really good. I just imagine there are a number of listeners and viewers who are wanted to know this kind of stuff.
Sure, absolutely.
Up front. incredibly hopeful. So you have shared about the experiences of some of your staff and the scope of services, which is just incredible to have a case manager, which means they can help with like plug you in. That doesn't sound very nice, but connect you to services on around a variety of issues. Like if you need medical care or food or permanent housing,
legal assistance,
legal assistance. Oh, great. So could you tell us something about like the range of people that are considered homeless and about the range of people that you serve?
Yeah. So the backgrounds of the people that will come through the doors of the resource center are broad. There are we serve quite a range of folks, and within the definition of homelessness, there's chronic homelessness, people who are living in a place not meant for human habitation, and have been doing so for over 90 days, I think is the threshold that for somebody to be chronically homeless. There are other people who are literally homeless, who are also in places not meant for human habitation, or in a emergency shelter setting. And then, there are people who are unstably housed. There are people who are housing insecure. And then there are people in different institutional settings, like a treatment facility or a transitional housing program or something of that sort. And so the people that we serve primarily are people experiencing acute homelessness, people who are living in cars or living on the street, and a lot of the folks that we serve have been experiencing this acute homelessness for over the threshold that defines them as chronically homeless. And so, with the different programs that we have, the broadest breadth is with the resource center. There are people who will come in accessing case management resources, who are housing insecure. They may be facing eviction. They might have gotten a notice and they need direct monetary assistance to resolve that notice and be housed more stably again. And then there are also people who have been homeless in Davis that I can remember from growing up here for a very long time. So there's a major breadth that we serve there. And then within our permanent supportive housing program, we have, one of the requirements is that people were homeless at the time of application. So everybody that we serve with our permanent supportive housing at Paul's Place specifically was experiencing homelessness at the time of their application. And so, the variety of folks that we are serving is immense. And this is another thing where the experience of our case management team is vital to being able to provide services effectively to all of them in a, from one interaction to the other. They can be helping people with housing assistance or food assistance that, are just in need of a short-term aid to be, back to independent living. And then there are people that, have been homeless, that known to them for a really, really long time, and they can effectively deliver services to all of these folks at once.
Gosh, I hope every city gets a Paul's Place.
Yeah, you know, it would be great, and it would also be very challenging. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think the effectiveness of all of these programs is you know, the foundation of the effectiveness of all these programs is the staff and the experience of the staff, the familiarity with these people, the relationships that they've built over years with a lot of the people they've served.
That's a great point.
You know, to put this building anywhere would be helpful to any community. To have all of these services centrally located would be helpful to any community. The effectiveness and the success is dependent on the relationships, I think, between the staff and the clients, and that the trust established between staff and clients and residents. So I agree. I think everybody, every place should have, you know, these services offered, and I think that every place should also try to find some really caring and experienced folks to operate those services.
I love that you're underscoring that. I imagine the relationship between the staff and the clients and the residents and building trust would be key in the experience to know how to handle all kinds of unpredictable situations. Is there a type of training that the very experienced staff provides when a new staff comes
you know, with us, so yes and no. More and more we are developing, you know, we kind of have a little bit of a workforce development program, and one dimension of that is our peer support program that we work through the NAMI California peer support training that they offer. And so that is a really effective way for people who have the lived experience of substance abuse disorder or mental health challenges to, you know, after, you know, a time of stability and having some distance from their like acute experience of those challenges, they can, through that training really enables people to you know, take that personal experience and be a great service provider to people experiencing things similar to what they have been through. And so the specifics of the training you can look up online and see what the NAMI program has. And you know, I think that is actually the one training that is most employed here, and that I would say something that is big in, from what I understand, in social work practice right now is motivational interviewing. I think that independently, a lot of our staff have arrived at a motivational interviewing style of case management. So that being like helping, you know, working with the client to establish goals and you know, suggesting, having them direct, you know, direct their goals and support them in finding steps and taking these, identifying material things and small things that people can do to achieve the goals that they seek that they are seeking to achieve. So I think that is a practice that all of us engage in here, and it's certainly effective. And those are, those would be the two things that I would highlight as kind of trainings that are effective for this.
Well, I'm going back to this wonderful list of other things I want to make sure I ask you about. But
Sure.
can you share while I'm doing that what NAMI stands for?
National Alliance. Well, that's a National Alliance of Mental Health. Let's find it here.
Thanks.
I get.
I knew the first three. I didn't know what I stood for.
National Alliance of Mental Illness. Excuse me. Not mental illness. So
yes, such a great organization.
And the peer support program is that it's a Medi-Cal program. You can get your like Medi-Cal in California, Medi-Cal peer support certification. They have these different kind of training providers that are certified training providers, and NAMI offers this for free. And so folks in our program have been using the NAMI training to then get their Medi-Cal certification.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for looking that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You did just talk about the motivational interviewing and helping people identify goals that they would have passion about and want to pursue. And I think this is part of what you meant by making steps to improve their lives at whatever they're feeling capable of or interested in. In some cases, the landing points do not seem like success, but are. Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. So I think that one of the changes that so within the clients that we serve, there are folks who are seeking this to go from wherever they are to ultimately achieve like independent living. And, this is a lot of folks in the transitional housing program, particularly, will have had a history of living independently and want to return to that, or, just know that they are capable if they, are able to achieve sobriety and maintain their sobriety for a really long time. It will be foundational to them then, getting perhaps becoming employed and living independently, not in a permanent supportive housing complex, just having a lease and having a job, having connection to their family, establishing a community, and just exiting kind of the whole homeless service arena. Alternatively, there are some folks, and this was a big shift in this. This was a big learning moment for me when I started this full-time position with the permanent supportive housing program. There are some folks for whom living in a permanent supportive housing program is that this is success for them. They are, they may not be able to live without the financial subsidy of living in permanent supportive housing, and the additional services and provided to them in a permanent supportive housing program. So in my program, that would be, the what I can do with them, what I can do for them, and the other services that they have access to in the building. And so
that's helpful.
It took some. When I started this position, I figured that for me to be successful in this job, I would be helping more and more people reach this independent living capacity. And for some people, this is an appropriate goal, and this is something that we are working towards together. And for some people, for them to be stable and, healthy, and able to, take care of themselves at some level, this is success. And for them to be here, and for them and not to have any kind of backsliding, ending up back on the street or anything, then that is another dimension of success that it was not on my radar. It does not follow the kind of linear achievement pathway that we so often think of when thinking of like individual success. And I think that was the most vital kind of change from my perspective when I started this position.
Well, thanks for sharing that. That's kind of like how your definition and understanding of success shifted over time with you as your experience grew.
Yeah.
And that totally makes sense. And that's so validating, It's so much more embracing of like spectrum of success. And,
absolutely.
Recognize that's wonderful to hear. And if anybody can stay stable and find security, hallelujah.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is not an easy world, not an easy country, not an easy state. So celebrate.
And I think that that's true of all of our programs. We're here to support our clients flourishing as much as we can, and as much as they can. They have the capacity for they want to do, and so that is what as staff we're here to be there to support their vision of success, and if we can guide it a little bit, if it needs to be, then that's what we'll do. But we're here to support them in their own kind of journey to success, and that's different for everybody.
That just sounds so brilliant. It does. I mean, I think like true intelligence is it involves compassion. And that just sounds like highly intelligent thinking, because it's very compassionate and really like wise and based in understanding the human experience. So that's incredible that's being lived out. Not just
that. That's high praise.
Well earned. So we will make sure we still have plenty of time to make sure people who are listening help to share how they can get involved and help in their community. But first, since there's time, I wanted to ask you first if you wanted to just share about what, whether it's speculation or experience or fact, what are some of the causes of homelessness and solutions, because there can just be so much not understanding and judgment and misunderstanding and miscategorizing, and I think sometimes when people see homeless people, sometimes I think whether we have different emotional reactions, and I'm not trying to criticize people for different emotional reactions, but sometimes people, I think, out of guilt, can actually feel angry at someone. Like, oh, I don't, no, I'm not, I don't have any money to give them. Damn it, I work hard. Oh, I think that's one sort of reaction. And then people can just shut down and walk by and not look, not talk, not engage, because we don't know what to do. We're not trained very well. It's not part of our conditioning to. So, you've seen it so much more than I have. So I think it's helpful, to increase understanding, and usually that increases empathy. Usually it's like, oh, okay, I get it more. And maybe can help us think differently. I know before the show mentioned, I just think this will segue. I'm sort of adding a question to that question.
Absolutely.
How we can give to people individually that we walk past before we talk about, or that maybe we don't walk past them. Whether it's money, oh, I'm afraid to give them money because how do I know what they're going to spend it on, or
Right.
is it okay to buy them food, or do I ask them if they're thirsty? Just whatever, just kind of
Yeah.
like help us relax about it, and maybe start
Yeah.
again with causes, and
Mm-hmm.
then some things we could potentially do.
Sure. So I think that with causes, we get again, the people that use our services, there are such a broad range of personal experiences, lived experiences. And so it's hard to say, one certain thing is a cause when you have people who are
For sure.
coming to use our services just because they are kind of experiencing the acute effects of poverty and extreme poverty, and just aren't able to afford basic needs, despite the fact that they are have income and are able to live independently, that they just might need some assistance. All of our clients in some form or another are experiencing acute poverty, that being those who are needing short-term assistance and those living in meeting some definition of homelessness that is a little bit more acute. And so for those who come to experiencing homelessness, there are a variety of experiences that quite a few of them share. Some might have, mental health challenges. Some might have substance abuse challenges. Some might have history of, formerly incarcerated, history of being in jail or prison. And some might not fall into any of those categories at all. I would say, though, if there is one thing that is seen most consistently, it is some form of kind of I guess the term is adverse childhood experience. I think that is genuinely the most recognizable thing at some point. If you peel back what causes sorry, I'm getting like what causes the conditions that then lead to homelessness. I think that there is a root source beyond these other more immediate steps right before homelessness. And so as far as resolving homelessness goes, there's on one hand, there is providing services, housing people, and providing services to maintain housing. And this is the side that I work in, and what we think of as homeless services currently operate in. There's also the side of preventing homelessness, and I think that is in some manners, it's more resource efficient. Just providing direct rental assistance to folks that need it. And then there's like the big prevention measures, where it's like what leads to the traumatic experiences that lead people to have these mental health reactions later in life, or turn to the substance one. Those are the systemic, I think, causes, and so that is that is something that would have to be addressed to critically and seriously address homelessness. As far as what people can do, with the situation of having some money in your pocket and offering it to folks, you're totally welcome to do that. It is the reservation that some people have is you don't know what the money will be used for, as you would if you gave the money to anybody else. So, I would invite people to use their judgment and figure what they're comfortable with doing in those situations. If they want to try to find things like those resource cards and hand those out, you can do that. If you want to be able to tell people about resources just off the top of your head, if you're in Davis, you can check out our website or the city's website to get a list of some of the other service providers in the area. And if you're not, then I don't know how to direct your research on homeless resources, but you can see what's available. And I would also say that try to find a group in your area, and Davis, it can be Davis Community Meals and Housing, that is doing this work, and see if there's a way for you to volunteer and just get the firsthand experience of working with these folks and interacting with people, if that is something that you are interested in understanding and learning more about. For Davis Community Meals and Housing, we have a meals program that serves hot meals 3 days a week. And so you can go to our website and go to a volunteer tab, and you can sign up to do that kind of work. You can also, we have an email, volunteers@dcmah.org, if you want to volunteer with us in other ways. And so, just finding these ways to just get connected, and I think are vital to understanding, crossing that, really reaching out and just start to interact with folks and get familiar with them and hear about what their experiences are and what their needs are as well.
Wow, beautiful. Wow, yeah, you answered those two questions. Can I add a little bit to?
Please.
And you can correct me if this has changed, but when I was in the domestic violence movement, we found a lot of people who were fleeing from violence. Had no place to go actually, except maybe under a bridge or with their little kids, sometimes with a pet. And then also we had a lot of compassion for veterans who had not been well taken care of, to readjust after the trauma of being asked to, do hellacious things that we don't know if we never served in direct battle. So those are two populations we were quite aware of. And it's interesting and appreciate that you mentioned adverse child effects as root causes. Thanks for mentioning that too. And we have just like 3 minutes left. I wanted to know, could you just say the volunteer email address again for people?
Yeah, it's volunteers@dcmah.org. And you can find all of this information. You can find information on how to donate, how to, if you're interested in providing in-kind donations, on our website, daviscommunitymeals.org. You can find all the information about what we need. We have actually like a stock on our website, and you can see, they need paper towels, and if you're interested in providing in-kind donations in that way. So if you're interested in volunteering or supporting us in any way, just head to our website and we will have those resources. And yes, and to answer your question, that is fleeing domestic violence is actually its own specific category of homelessness by HUD definition. And with those two groups, like people experiencing fleeing domestic violence and veterans, and then also with youth and transitional age youth and families, they oftentimes they in California at least, for all of those groups and federally for veterans, they have specific services available to them we specifically work with largely adults, and so we have a much less specialized service orientation. So we will work with anybody, and then we will refer them to the more specialized services that are available to them when it's appropriate.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Paul's Place. Thank you, Silas Kirsch. And I think your staff will be proud. I think you're representing them well. And I know it's been individuals for decades who've helped build this situation of like so many incredible services provided at Paul's Place, which is at 1111 H Street.
Yes.
In Davis, California.
Yeah.
And I just have enough time to thank you. Thank you so much for educating us, informing us, and for what you do. It's
absolutely happy to be on.
And I want to thank our listeners and viewers for tuning in, and to our engineer, Rebel, our producer, Dean Piper, and tune in next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time to It's Your Voice on Talk4TV or W4CY.com or my YouTube channel. And may we continue to have enriching conversations in diversity. Thanks again. Thank you.